Hi, everybody. Today I'm here with Kate, who is a private practice owner that I've been mentoring for some time now. And we're going to talk all about her journey and her practice. And if you guys are new here, my name's Alysha. I'm a psych NP and I own a practice and I teach other psych NPs how to find freedom and balance in their lives by starting private practices as well. So let's jump right into it, Kate. Tell me, we'll start with where you're at now and where your practice is at, and then we'll rewind back to when we first met. Tell me about your practice. Who do you serve? Where? And yeah.
Yeah, so I am the practice owner of Intuitive Minds Wellness, and I'm based out of Florida, mostly telehealth right now. And I serve women who are very anxious, are typically really high functioning, but on the inside just kind of feeling like, is this really where we want to be in life? Is this really who we want to be? So a lot of the women I serve also are struggling with either like hormonal issues or lifestyle. So we talk a lot about like navigating transitions in life, hormonal shifts, identity evolutions, and really working on the complexity of women's health beyond just medication management.
Yeah. Wow. Medication management as well as like, do you do therapy? Do you do any other services?
Yeah, so I do medication management, but really look at a holistic approach to care. So looking at lifestyles, I look a lot at like biorhythms as well, because I think especially for women, we have these infradian rhythms, which are hormones, and not just circadian rhythms, which are the 24-hour, hormones that are typically, I think, associated with more of this kind of patriarchal that we see in society.
And let's rewind and let's talk about earlier in your journey. So when we met, you had opened already. Talk me through like when we met and where you were versus where you're at now.
So when we first met, I was in the very beginning stages of thinking about opening a private practice. And one of the things I've really learned is there is a really big difference between being a clinician and being a business owner.
Yeah.
The clinician part of it, I felt really confident in. I've been practicing when we met, I'd been practicing for about 11 years at that point. I'm seeing clients in the clinical, in the community settings, through clinics, so a lot of 15, 20-minute visits. And then shifting over to being a business owner and owning my own practice was a whole nother skill set that I was not prepared for. And so I was doing a lot of research in terms of looking at, well, what other providers are practicing? What other nurse practitioners are practicing from an integrative lens and that are practicing more holistically? And I found you. I found your website. And I remember thinking like, wow, yes, like this is what I want to do. This is what I want to emulate. And so when I saw that you were offering a mentor program, this couldn't be more perfect. So at that point, I think I maybe had the groundwork for the practice build. And I had an idea of how I wanted to curate my own practice and the clientele that I wanted and the business model and the idea behind it. But I really wasn't sure how do I get this thing off the ground? What do I do in terms of support for the practice? What does the admin part of it look like? And so that was really helpful. So joining your mentorship program and just getting an idea of, okay, these are steps by steps, like what you need to do like as a business owner. And these are things that you need to think about. These are resources that are available to you and specifically like in the state. And then also having that community that you have was really helpful because I think, mentorship is incredible, but having a community around that as well, because no business model is going to look exactly the same. Everyone is really different. And I think that's the beauty of owning your own practice, as you have more flexibility in terms of, this is my vision and this is the way that I want to be creative and clinical at the same time. So having that community, I think, really opens it up from this one-to-one, which again, I think can also be very helpful, but also to having a lot of different areas of support and models of care and ways that people are doing things. So I think it's more expansive.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We're really lucky to have a lot of people in the group that are interested in very similar kind of pockets of mental health. Like there's a very strong perinatal and women's mental health representation within the community, and then integrative as well as honestly most of us, which is good. Yeah. So I've seen you guys kind of connect on different resources, and especially in women's health. Yeah. Yeah. Good. How do you feel like you've grown as a business owner over this last year?
Over the last year, gosh, really even over the past 3 years, there's been so much growth, I think, in terms of, I would say, confidence, really. I think when I first started, and again, kind of going back to that, entrepreneurship, okay, these are my clinical skills, but in terms of running a business and making decisions and being that there is no one else putting, no, I can't, go up the chain and say, hey, what do I do in this case? Or, should I see them in 3 weeks or 2 weeks? It's just me. So really gaining confidence in my own abilities to make decisions. Also being okay to fail is something that I've grown in. And I think when I first started, everything had to be super perfect. This is the way I wanted it to be. This is the vision I had, and this is the path forward. Whereas now I'm learning, I'm less afraid to take risks, and I'm doing things where I'm, launching different programs. I launched a women's group that did not quite take off the way that I thought it would. And instead of taking that personally or being like, oh man, I'm like, all right, cool. This is what didn't work. Let's shift. Like what can work instead? So I think in terms of like growth and evolution, a lot of it has been personal and just going with the flow more, being able to adjust, being able to make decisions and trust myself that, yeah, this is the best decision for me, for my practice, for my clients. So I would say that's the way that I've been most.
Yeah, that's huge growth, because I think that like building that resilience and knowing that things aren't really a failure, it just might be something that's not working at the time, and it gives you information on how to shift. I've certainly done things in my business where they didn't take off, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's not what my clientele's looking for, or maybe that's not the right time for it, or something like that, which is totally okay. And yeah, not everything's going to happen as we expect it to. And so it's like building that resilience and that confidence over time, that's a really good point that you brought up. Yeah, I think that's huge in business ownership for sure. Yeah. Now, you've had, throughout the time that you've owned your practice now, you said about 3 years, right?
Yeah, about 3 years. The first year I wasn't seeing clients, so probably 4 years total, but I was just really building the groundwork. And then I think it was about maybe 2.5 years ago now that I just started seeing clients more.
Clients. Yeah, yeah. In that last 2.5 years, you've had different life situations that have kind of like taken more of your time, or work that's taken more of your time. How have you navigated that? I know a lot of people are balancing like a full-time job, or being a mom, or being a wife, or, like there's so many roles that we play in life. How have you navigated the different directions that your time has been pulled over the years?
Yeah, that's a great question, because that's one that I think during every unexpected shift, there's been a little stumble first, and then pick myself up and, okay, let's go forward. Let's adjust. So I've been fortunate enough to also be practicing at a hospital-based telehealth clinic while I've been building my practice, which has been really helpful because it's made the practice building more intentional and more sustainable rather than jumping into it. So for me, that has been sort of like a pillar while I'm trying different things in the practice. And so with the different life transitions, I've been able to either flex my hours at the practice which has been, again, owning your own practice. I can choose to work really early mornings, or I can choose to work really late evenings. And if I'm giving my clients enough heads up and saying like, hey, or do you want a later appointment or early? And I find that most work clients are women, they're flexible too. And they're like, sure, let's do that. Works great for me. The kids are in bed and 8 p.m. Yes. Passing, that would be a good time to check in. Not always.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's given me a lot of flexibility around these life transitions. And then also community, really having a good community, working with other nurse practitioners where I can pull them in if something does come up, which it has in the past year where I've been completely unable to see clients for a month or so. And then I have someone to either kind of be like on call or to step in if an urgent situation arises.
Yeah. That's important. And I think like people are worried that you'll be attached to your practice 24/7 and you'll never be able to change that. But like you said, the reality is you can have a trusted colleague that covers you. While I've owned my practice, I've had multiple surgeries. And so I've had a colleague jump in and out. And then now, luckily, it's not surgeries, it's vacations. But yeah, it's really helpful to have that community and have someone that you trust to help you out when you need it. Yeah.
Actually, I want to speak to that too, because I think one of the things that I've learned, and then in terms of taking time away, is setting better boundaries. I think when I first opened my practice, I was like, I need to be available always, all the time, at any time. So if a client reached out, I would be immediately replying back, which is great for client services. But I think in the long term, as I build my practice, that's not going to be sustainable for me or my clients, because I think that's like a fast track to burnout. So being okay with having my policy is within 24 hours, I will return the call. So being okay with knowing oh, my inbox dinged, but if I'm in the middle of doing something, really being able to set boundaries around, okay, I will get to that within 24 hours and then that will be okay.
Yeah.
And that keeps me mentally well to keep my clients mentally well.
Yeah. I think that's really important. Yeah. And really valuable when you're setting up the way that you want to work. Yeah. Okay. Final question for you. If someone is watching this and considering mentorship for their private practice, what would you want them to know or think as they make that decision?
So thinking back, especially for me in making the decision, because in terms of resources, when you're first starting out a practice, it can be really challenging to decide okay, well, I'm not up and running yet, so I don't have all of these resources to necessarily spend here or spend there. And so I think for me, that was also okay, is this a good choice for the practice right now, for the business to be making this investment? And so it is a risk. It really is. But I would say it really helped the practice grow so much, because the time I think that I ultimately ended up saving by joining the mentorship program really earned that back in a lot of ways. So I think by doing a lot of those things on my own, yes, I could have done them, but I think it would have taken so much more time. And then, let's say maybe it added another 3 to 6 months to my build up where I wasn't taking clients. Well, that's 3 to 6 months that I could have had clients coming in the door as well. So I think in weighing out time and resources, it is a really good investment, because at least for me, I saved a lot of time, because Alysha, you have everything is set up so well and so organized that even with the mentor, we didn't do one-on-one, but I entered, into the group program, and I did the course. And it's just so efficient. It's so efficient that, yes, I would do it. I was even talking to my partner recently about this interview. He was like, who's it with? And I was like, it's the mentorship program. And I was, telling him about it. I'm like, worth its weight in gold. It really, it just helped me. It really, really helped me. And with confidence too, because having that, you have the program, but then you also have the community. And I've certainly utilized that quite a bit, and just kind of asking questions of, what do other business owners think about this? And then so I'm also perinatal mental health certified as well. And I was able to meet another clinician there, and we joined up at a conference, which was really cool. So
That's
again, just
awesome.
having that network. Yeah, Brianna. So I met her at Postpartum Support International. And so just having those resources, having that community. Sorry, very long answer to the question, but
No, it's
so
okay.
that's one thing I would consider. And then also keeping in mind, mentorship is so valuable, but then also like having, following your intuition as well, and knowing that, mentorship is not just a cookie cutter approach where it's do this in this way. It's good to be mindful of, okay, these are, suggestions for the path forward, but also incorporating, your own vision and your own personality and values into what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's a really good point to know that there is milestones to set up, but there's also the ability to be creative and do business in your own way that feels, that feels good to you. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today, for sharing about your practice and your life. And I appreciate you being on so much. And I'm so glad that this program has brought us to meet one another.
Same, Alysha. Same. It was nice chatting with you, and have a good rest of your day. Well, I'm sure I'll see you on the circle on community soon.
Yep. I'll see you there. All right.
Okay.
Bye.